Hello, good morning, and welcome to this not Dawn Busters because it's black outside with daylight saving time. Pretend time says 5:41, but we know it's really 4:41 Central Time. But anyway, we'll play along. I have two 40% alcohol single malt Scotch whiskies. This is Jura Journey, introduced in 2017. It's in this medicine bottle kind of shape, kind of interesting, unique bottle from the Jura Distillery, established 1810, but actually it went out of business for years. It was out of business from like 1963 until not too long ago, but whatever, it got resurrected. I think they had used it as just a malting facility from 1963 until it got repurchased. They just malted barley there, and then it was kind of like dead. And I mean, it wasn't kind of like dead. It was dead as far as distilling. But then you've heard of Witt and McKay. Witt and McKay, they make their own whiskey. They bought it. Okay. Max Walt. Good morning, Ron Privet. Good morning to you, Max Walt, in the Russian Federation. Good morning, Mr. Terroit. Terrio, says Alex. All right. Hello, Alex. So I found this at Total Wine and More years ago, and it was $22 even, 22 even. And my friend David was like, that's not the correct price. I said, well, that's what it was. He said, yeah, but they didn't price it correctly. Jura is more expensive than that. I said, that might be so, but I bought it. I didn't go ask him, is this right? Foil cap cover. Chaos says morning. Good morning to you. I did notice that the next step up was like $90, and then it was like $150. So it was kind of strange that it was 22 and then like 90 and then 150 for the next levels up. And I think the last time I checked, it had gone up in price significantly, but it's been renamed as Bourbon Cask. It's a real cork. Oh yeah, I need to moisturize this cork. This thing is bone dry, and you let the corks get dry, and later on you're gonna cry, and because they're gonna dry rot, and then the thing is gonna disintegrate into the whiskey. I've had this happen 3 times, twice with whiskey and once with brandy, cognac brandy, actually cognac from France. I can feel the powder on the bottleneck from the deterioration. So these corks, man, they will fail. There we go. Okay. So whatever the case, I bought it for $22. Okay, Jura Journey, and they renamed it Jura Bourbon Cask. Why they did that, I do not know. And the bottle still looks the same. It's just it's the same color and everything. They just changed the white. It was written in white, all capital Journey. Now it's written smaller because it's got to fit more. And it says Bourbon Cask and all capitals. Okay, now this product here has a foil cap cover, and it has a real cork as well. And this is Trader Joe's. Now, Trader Joe's was established in 1967. They got bought out by Aldi. They're owned by Aldi today, but they have their own brand of liquor. And they have private label beer like Bosom. They used to have name tag lager. I thought it was pretty good. They should have kept it. And they have Simpler Times lager. They used to have Simpler Times Pilsner, which I thought was interesting. They dropped that. But anyhow, this is the Trader Joe's Highland single malt Scotch whiskey. Yep. Now, a lot of people tell me they don't sell liquor at Trader Joe's where I live. They don't even sell beer. I said, well, they do here. And this is double maturation. They take this Highland single malt whiskey from who knows what distillery. They age it in just oak barrels from somewhere. They don't specify. And then they finish it in bourbon barrels, bourbon casks, as they call them in Scotland. How long is it finished? Don't know. Can't tell you. Maybe a year, probably less, but you can only go by what you got, you know. Let's do a screen share. I'll show you the Jura website. See, it pretty much kept the same everything. Really, they just changed the name, and it's hard to understand why. But and it said the same thing on the old website listing, in bourbon casks. But it's probably because they know bourbon is like that magic word that attracts people. They would be like, they hear the word bourbon and they're like, oh, I gotta try it. So that's probably the reason. Journey, they were like, what does that mean, journey? You know what it meant? It meant like you're on a tasting journey. You're going to start with journey and go up the line and try everything. And look at the other ones. They got 10-year-old, 12-year-old, 14-year-old, 7 wood, 18-year-old, the Tide. And you know, I mean, it's like any other whiskey company. They got their base model, and then they put a little barrel here. They show peated versus unpeated, and it's so small you can't see it, but they have it in grade, so you can see it's a low peat whiskey. There's not much peat showing up on the barrel. Now, Total Wine and More, we can see what they're selling it for now. Jura Bourbon Cask, they put Journey in parentheses to let you know it's the same thing, rename. Part of the Spirits Direct program. A lot of people say that means it's a private label, but it cannot mean that, because Jura is not a private label whiskey. You can find that at all kind of liquor stores. So I don't know where people, I don't know what's the story on that. Okay, so it's $28.99. So it did go up $6.99 since I bought it 3 years ago. The 12-year is 53. The 8 is 114. This is something else, got nothing to do with Jura. Okay, so I don't believe. So anyway, yeah, it's really about the same as your other mainline single malts in price. Nothing extravagant either way. They only sell one Glen Moray, huh? I have the Elgin Classic, which was $10 cheaper at the time of purchase. See what they have with Tomatin. 12-year, $47.99. Yeah, it's about the same price as Walmart. Yeah, okay, so about, yeah, so not change. Okay, time for the challenge. You can see the, is this the Jura that's so lighter, much lighter? Yeah, the Jura is amber gold. Let's see if it'll focus. The camera has trouble focusing in the dark. You know, it gets confused. And then this one's really dark, like copper. So how are these similar? How are they similar? Well, they're both 40% alcohol. They're both from Scotland. And they're both finished in bourbon casks. So that's how they're similar. How are they different? Well, one is from the island of Jura, and the other one is a Highland, from the Highland region. But they're both low peated, so I don't think there's going to be much difference. But on the other hand, I don't think the Trader Joe's private label is going to have much of a chance against the Jura Journey. Just think it's not as quality. Now, price point, I paid $17.99 for the Trader Joe's. Don't know what the price is now. I don't really go there too often because they never really have anything I want over there. It's like the same old beers every time. But yeah, $17.99, $17.99, $22 at the time of purchase. Remember that this is not the current price. I mean, it could be, but I can't. It's obviously not. It's $26.99 over there now for the same product. Went up $4.99. No, what they say, $28.99, $6.99. Okay, I'm gonna have to close my eyes because if I glance down and see the lighter product, then I'm gonna know that it's the Jura. Okay. It almost smelled like fruit, like berries, kind of huckleberries or something. Yeah, now it's just the wood, the oak, and the whiskey. The barley grain. Yeah, peated. There's a little touch of that. Okay, over here. Here I'm just getting the straight barley burn, malted barley whiskey grain thing. I'm not really picking up any bourbon cask or oak or anything. So do they smell similar? Well, yeah, in a whiskey type sense, but not too similar. No. Okay, taste. Cheers. Bourbon cask. Yeah, you get that corn. I said this before with this Trader Joe's. It kind of tastes like corn nuts. You know that you get in the Mylar bags. It's like a snack. It's like corn kernels that are like puffed and roasted, but they're not popped. They're crunchy and they usually have like chili powder flavor or barbecue seasoning flavor and stuff like that. And I think they have like green onion and sour cream flavor. All the typical Cool Ranch and typical flavor. That's what it tastes like. Okay, over here. Also, a little bourbon cask that gives it that corn nuts taste. And sugar water. Sugar water. Whiskey to me is very sweet. They'll finish kind of dry, but the flavor is so sweet. People ridicule me or whatever, but I'd say it all the time. Whiskey tastes like sugar water, and people say, "Oh, you're crazy." And I say, "Well, people say I'm crazy, but I'm in demand, But no, but as a comedian, in all seriousness, it does taste like sugar water. This one less so. Less so. And this one has the peatiness. Is it peated? Yes. Is it heavily peated? No. But it's definitely more peated than this other one over here, which had no sort of peat flavor that I could detect. So I think this is the Jura. And I like that peaty quality, even though it's only 20% peated and 80% not peated. I like the peated aspect of it. And I'm going to say this is Jura Journey, and I'm going to say it's the winner. Happy belated birthday, Herbie. Oh, thank you. 2 days ago, but that's cool. But thank you. My tag is script. Yeah, it is the Jura Journey. I couldn't see the tag the way it was looking. Okay, so it's the Jura Journey. So Jura wins. I paid $4.01 more. It cost me $4.01 more. But honestly, it tasted about $4 better. So it does taste better and it costs more. So, but that's all right. If you're paying more, then you should be getting more. Now, a lot of times though, with these videos, I pay more and I don't get more. It's usually not like worse. It's not like it tastes worse. It just won't taste any better. So it's like, why did I pay $10 more? It doesn't even taste any better. That happens quite a few times, but that didn't happen. Good call, thank you. So yeah, the clear and present winner is Jura, no longer Journey, although you may see that on the shelves at many stores. But if you see the Bourbon Cask, if it says Bourbon Cask, it's the same one. Just a rename. Just like Grant's Triple Wood is a renaming of Grant's Family Reserve. And I know where they still got Family Reserve on the shelf at a local store. So Grant's not really a big seller around here. It trickles out. If a store around here buys a case of handles, meaning 6 bottles, glass, those big jug bottles, it might take 5 years to sell that. If they get a case of Crown Royal, it'll take 5 days to sell that same. And that's the truth, that fast. So, but it'll sell well enough to keep it on the shelf. Just trickle out. And then in 5 years, I'll order another case. And then, and then the regular bottles, get 12 of those in a case. It's not going to take 12 years to sell it, but it might take 6, So it's just a slow seller. Now, where you live, Grant's might be the hot item. I don't know. They say Dewar's is the best-selling blended Scotch in the United States, but not around here. In Louisiana, it can't be too popular. I never see people buying that. Oh, I mean, you can find it, but to say people buy it a lot, what do they buy around here for Scotch? I don't really see a lot of people buying Scotch around here, to tell you the truth. They mostly buy bourbon, but and Canadian whiskey. But Scotch, if I have to think about it, probably like I don't know, like Johnny Walker Red Label or yeah, just stuff. I don't know. It just doesn't seem to be that popular around here. It's got a presence. It doesn't have much presence. It's like brandy. People buy brandy around here, but not the only brandy people really ever buy around here is Hennessy, and somebody told me one time, that's cognac, not brandy. I'm like, well, somebody needs to do a little bit more research. But anyway, but as far as brandy around here, yeah, the only thing you ever see people buying is Hennessy. Scotch, it's hard to say because I don't see too many people buying it. I don't care what brand it is. Now, I'm not saying that you say, well, I live in New York City, in Brooklyn. That's the big thing, Scotch. Everybody in Brooklyn drinks Scotch all the time. Okay, I get that's, but in Louisiana, it's bourbon, bourbon, bourbon. They be running behind bourbon all day. And like I said, Canadian whiskey, mainly Crown Royal. What's your favorite bottom shelf whiskey? I don't know if I can answer that question. Probably Clan McGregor, which is a really cheap Scotch. And they claim it's cheap because they bottle it in New Jersey and they don't have to pay to ship the bottles full. Well, it might be part of it. It's from Grant's. I was just talking about William Grant and Sons, and that's a cheap brand that they got a hold of. I don't think they started it, but that one does seem to sell pretty well, and tastes good to me. It's like a really good cheapo. Yeah, it is a really. Oh, I love that peatiness. It's a really good cheapo. This one is good, but I'll say just like a B. Maybe even an 8.7 out of 10, which would be a good solid B. Good. Is it excellent? No, that's why it's $17.99, because it's just ho hum, But you say, oh, I don't like spending money. I like to pinch pennies, and I'm very tight with my money. And some people are like that. And they enjoy doing that. Other people are extravagant. They get $1, they spending it. Their savings account is empty. Uh, um, but if you're a penny pincher, and then this is a good one to get because it's good. I just said it was good. Nothing to be. You're not going to impress anybody with it. It's got a nice label. I got to say that they did a good job on the labeling. But I mean, I wouldn't give it as a gift. Like somebody's graduating from college, you give them a bottle of Trader Joe's Highland single malt bourbon cask. They're gonna know you just trying to be cheap. Buying something. Well, yeah, give them like Jura 12 year. Now you're giving them something. It'd be like I'm gonna take you out to dinner because you graduated. I'm gonna take you to Chili's, but you could have taken them somewhere like Galatoire's, make it special, or Antoine's, but you won't go to Chili's because you got a special. But I mean, I'm telling you things you know already. Okay. So next time, which will be tomorrow, Friday, I'm gonna go help her work at the fish fry. So I may have to preempt Friday by doing it. I'm gonna have to preempt Friday by doing it today, I think, because working at the fish fry, I can't do a live video. I could do a live video from the fish fry, wouldn't make much sense. Yeah. So I'll do Trader Joe's versus another single malt, which is what's coming up next. I think it's Glenglassaugh, the Evolution, which they no longer make. Glenglassaugh wiped out their entire lineup and introduced a whole new lineup. They did like DC Comics in 1986. The Crisis on Infinite Earths. From that, they just had this crisis. And everything that happened before was wiped out, basically. And they restarted with the new DC universe with a whole new history. So whatever you had before that, it was nice to have the comic book in your collection, but it wasn't a real story. Like as though the ones you're reading now are real, as opposed to the ones you're reading now. But that's what they did. And that's what Jim Shooter wanted to do at Marvel. I know he was copying from DC. He said, what are we going to do for Marvel Comics 25th anniversary, 1986? He said, let's just have something happens and the whole thing is dead, wiped out. And then we start over with the new Marvel. And the people that owned the company looked at him like he was crazy, They said, are you crazy? Laissez les bon temps rouler. Yep. Let the good times roll. They said no, and they refused to do it. And they let him work on this other underfunded project called The New Universe, which bombed. And then he got fired, not really because of that, but for a lot of other reasons. But he was obviously trying to mimic DC and thought that what they were doing was a smart move. Get rid of all the past and start over. And that's what Glenglassaugh did. They discontinued everything and rebooted. But I got the Evolution from the earlier days. 100 proof. I'll never confuse it with this 80 proof. And then you'll find out whose Tennessee whiskey barrels it's aged in or finished in. You can kind of already know. You kind of already know, right? It's aged or finished in Tennessee whiskey barrels. Now your mind is calculating like, well, I'm pretty sure there's only one really good candidate there. So that's telling me who owns Glenglassaugh. And I calculated that in my mind when I was at the liquor store. And I'm like, yeah, there are stores in Louisiana, but they're few and far between. And they're never really liquor stores. They're more like convenience stores that happen to sell liquor, which is 99% of what they sell. But actually, Ricky's Discount Liquor is an actual liquor store. One of the few that are in Louisiana, but unless you go to North Louisiana, where they don't allow liquor in a grocery store, but or convenience store. But I was in that store and I saw that Glenglassaugh, and it said finish in Tennessee barrels, and I said, watch, I know who owns this brand, this distillery. And I did my research later and I was like, ding, ding, ding. I got it right. I know who the parent company is. I guessed it. I nailed it. You just know. Sometimes you just know. You could just tell, you know. But anyway, that's no knock against it because it's super solid product. And I got it for the greatest deal in the world. All right. Well, y'all take care. And I'll see y'all probably later today on that follow-up, on that second taste challenge. Bye-bye.